Hello. Right, slightly new anyway, way of making videos today. I have used it before, but I'm just loving the clarity on this one. So today's video, all about spirit guides. It's a massive subject, quite a long time ago, I made a video about spirit guides, and it's just gone on and on, really. So today we're actually on part 6. I think there'll be many more parts. And I don't upload these regularly on this topic because I wait until some inspiration comes. I think that's the only way to do it with spirit guides. But before any of that, we will start off with a quick card of the day. Later in the video, I will do a 5-card pick a card, which is, real popular thing on the channel, and it's something I love to do as well, actually. I don't know, many people seem to actually tune into whatever the energy actually is behind those cards, or at least behind whichever card they've picked. But a card of the day, this is for absolutely everyone, and this one just dropped out while I was shuffling there. Paul the Venetian, experiencing grace. And this has much to do with what spirit guides are all about, actually. It says, share your gifts with grace. Waves of inspiration and love are coming to you. And there is a real good place to start thinking about spirit guides for today, actually, because I got the idea to do this video last night, and I've been thinking more about it and making some preparations for it. But I really have been racking my brains to think of exactly what to say. And I just realized that it usually comes to me once I start talking, so I just came on board and did it. And that's how I've learned to work with my spirit guides. We are actually all rather different. And I'm not saying just kind of go ahead willy-nilly, because I don't, I've done a lot of learning about this. I've read things, and I'm going to talk about a book that I've read in just a second, actually. But spirit guides haven't always read the books, as I think I've said before about spiritual teachers. You can find a wonderful book about spiritualism, spirituality, about reading cards, about astrology, whatever floats your boat. And because it's essentially spiritual, because it's essentially cosmic, it doesn't always fit into whatever binding we want to put it in. In fact, that binding can become a straitjacket, which is unfortunate. Anyway, as we're in March, this is a real good time to talk about some of the classic things that spirit guides have done. Not classic theories, but actually classic things that have happened. And why March? Because no, not everyone is going to be aware of this. In fact, I've met some people who are very deeply into spiritualism who didn't know this, and it took me a while to find it out. But on the 31st of March, it is Hydesville Day. And if there was going to be something other than Christmas that was like the Christmas time of spiritualism, it would be the 31st of March, because that is the anniversary of the day way back in the 1840s when the Fox sisters had the first communication of what we would call modern spiritualism. They were very small children at the time, and they became aware of a spirit presence, and they would knock. And it was like, I forget the code, but it was something like 1 knock for yes, 2 knocks for no, and they would knock, and a spirit presence would knock back to them, and no one could find anyone kind of playing a trick or tuning into them from outside and knocking back or anything like that. And they asked this presence a series of questions, and this person said that he'd been murdered and buried in the cellar. And absolutely decades later, actually, after spiritualism had really taken off, because they started getting people coming to the house wanting to communicate with loved ones who'd passed away, and that was how spiritualism really started. Decades later, the cellar was dug up and they didn't find anyone buried in it. And a lot of people at the time, and actually to this day, a lot of people, that's as far as they look into it. Oh, there wasn't anything there. Oh, never mind, it was no good. But actually, long after that, again, that house, the whole house was moved, and it's now somewhere in a spiritualist museum in America. And when it was moved, they actually dug right into the walls of the cellar. And this very person who the Fox sisters had described was buried in the walls. So that was really the beginning of modern spiritualism. And that really is, it's a wonderful thing. But it's a little bit mysterious, and because they actually dug the cellar floor up once and didn't find this man, a lot of people, as I say, just dismiss the whole thing. And I'm sure, you know, whatever you believe about the tarot, about readings, about astrology or anything, you will be aware that many people say it's all fake. And, you know, what I often hear, you know, I feel sorry for people who get preyed on by these vulnerable readers. I mean, you know, that there are fake readers about, but not nearly as many as people think. It's just that very often the evidence isn't something that you would just immediately believe. You actually go along with the evidence and you find out more about it as you go, and it becomes ever more convincing. So spirit guides. Okay, today I'm going to talk about an amazing spirit guide called Red Cloud, who is very much with us. And he was one of a team of spirit guides who was sent back to Earth from the highest realms of heaven in 1914 with the idea of trying to stop World War I. And they pleaded and pleaded and really worked on the political leaders of the day to try and stop World War I. And actually, if you look back into history, it was very nearly called off just a couple of days before it started. But lots of vested interests by that time had put a lot of money into it, not least the Haig family in Britain. And to this day, there's a statue of Marshal Haig in London riding on his horse, and how great he was to be the big warmonger behind the First World War and send so many people from all over the world to their deaths. You know, but the spirit guides really, really tried to work on them. That is a fact. And there is a book which you can get on Amazon all about Red Cloud. It's called Red Cloud Speak. You can get it for your Kindle. I've got it on my Kindle at the moment. It's open next to me so I can glance at it from time to time. And it's wonderful. Red Cloud was the spirit guide of a wonderful British medium of the 1930s called Mrs. Estelle Roberts. And she was hard at work in the 1930s and, you know, and before and since, but she was sort of at the height of her career in the 1930s. And she worked with Red Cloud. And she did a kind of mediumship, which I've also mentioned in the title, which is called trance mediumship. I have done it. I don't do it very often because it takes so much energy. It really, really draws the energy out of you. But it's fantastic because spirit guides actually speak through you. And people watching can usually tell, you know, that there's something very different come over you. And when I've done it, I've found myself saying things that I personally didn't actually believe. So it's got to be the real deal, in my opinion. Again, you know, it's all a matter of faith. It's a matter of what you believe and how much you can actually believe about it. But Red Cloud, absolutely amazing. And he was working through Estelle Roberts right through the 1930s. And in fact, this book, I believe, was written in 1935. And I'm not quoting from it because it's very old language. It's kind of hard work. You need to sit down with the book and take it in for yourself, really. But he was actually, at that time, Red Cloud said that he was hoping that that would be the last of the world wars. And of course, we didn't learn, you know, 1939 came and the Second World War broke out. And by the 40s, the whole world was involved with it. And the most atrocious things happened. So many were killed. But the spirit presence is always trying to work on people. And that's at the big level of war, you know. But spirit guides are willing to work with you in your life every day, if only you let them, and if only you listen, you know. And they get quite difficult to listen to because the things they say don't tend to come true immediately. And this is because it's a kind of teaching. And any good teacher won't just tell you this stuff. They'll get you to work it out for yourself, because that way it sticks in the brain that much more. If you learn a thing if you learn a thing in 5 stages, it'll be much more kind of permanently in your mind, and you probably never forget it than if you just kind of read it once or learn it once. And this is the journey, you know. This is why it's such a journey to actually be working with spirit guides. And one of the biggest journeys, I guess, has got to be bereavement, if not the biggest journey, because that tests people's faith to the absolute limit. And that's a subject for another video, and I will do a future video all about that, actually. But I give that now as an example of what huge difference, what huge differences can be made in our lives by the understanding of the spirit world. Because really, what's going on is when the human body dies, the soul goes on, because the soul is at a much higher vibrational frequency than the rest of the worldly body. And everything we see has a vibration. You see my dream flag on the wall behind me there, and that is the Karmapa dream flag from Buddhism, if you've never seen it before. Wonderful. It's kind of the heavens mingling with the earth, which is sand, which is what the earth looked like in the country where the Karmapa actually dreamed about that flag, and it becomes a symbol of wisdom. Anyway, I digress. The fact is, it's yellow and it's blue, and those colors have a vibration. All around it is the white painted wall, and white has a vibration, so we can see that, but if the vibration is high enough, we can't actually see it. And this is why spirit guides stay close to us, and the people we love who pass to the other side actually stay very close to us. If only we could see physically how close they are, it would be such a great comfort to people. It really would. And it's all about vibrations, really. And to bring this back to Red Cloud, he describes, and I'll change the words a bit because this isn't easy to take in at all. He says that he gives the example that if you wanted to fly in a balloon, you would put ballast in the balloon, you'd put weights in the balloon basket. And sometimes you see when people go up in a hot air balloon, they've got sandbags hanging off the side, and it'll lift them, and when they want to go higher, they throw some of the ballast out. And to come back down, they just allow the balloon to cool, and it slowly comes down again. But to go up, they keep throwing out the ballast. And this is what happens as the soul passes from the worldly body into the heavens. They become lighter and lighter and lighter, and that vibrational rate goes up and up and up. And so Red Cloud describes this about how he had to come back to Earth, and he explains that quite a few of his colleagues, as it were, his friends in the highest realms of the spirit world, volunteered to come back to Earth in 1914. And it was as if they had to weigh themselves down again. And although there's no time in the spirit world, it was a lengthy process. And Red Cloud explains that it actually took them something like 7 years of our time. And there is no time up there, but that's what he relates it to. That's what he says happens. And I'm a great believer in Red Cloud, actually. If ever I read from his book in a spiritualist service, that service goes a lot better. It's amazing. There are some things you can do when you're conducting a spiritual service that will kind of increase the power of it. There's reading from Red Cloud or Silver Birch, and I will do another video about Silver Birch, who's another amazing spirit guide. He was around in the 1940s and 50s as the spirit guide of Maurice Barbanel, who was the editor of the Psychic News at the time. But yeah, more about him later. Absolutely amazing people, spirit guides. And if you kind of take them very seriously and actually read from their philosophy at the beginning of a spiritualist service, you actually find that the whole thing powers up, the whole thing has a higher energy and works much better. The other thing is the 7 principles of spiritualism, which are like the 7 commandments of the spiritualist church, if you will. And I'm not going to go into those now either. I'll find, that there'll be another video when we'll look into all these things, because it's a massive amount of knowledge, and I like to give it out nice and gently so people can take it in, take it on board and work with it. But just to wrap up that part of it, and we'll go on to the tarot reading in a second. Just remember, friends, these things take a long time to filter into our minds and to understand. But you see, the idea of death and people passing to the other side, to most people, that is the darkest, nastiest moment you could ever come up against in your life. And they often think that spiritualist people, or those of us who read cards or do crystal ball or anything like that, you know, we must be very, very dark people, because we're actually interfacing with that thing that to them is such terrible darkness. But once you start looking into it, you realize that it's actually pure light. I know it's a very dark time for us when we lose someone close to us, and believe me, I've lost both my parents and several friends, and I do know, you know, how awful a thing bereavement is. I don't want to make light of it at all. When I actually face up to it and start, you know, looking into spiritualism and what actually happens to the soul after death, I've come to realize it's pure light. It's absolutely wonderful things that happen to the human soul after the death of the physical body. Everything becomes so much lighter, and everything just becomes, I suppose, you know, back to the real true state of humanity, which is eternity. You know, the soul is eternal, and so the soul actually returns to eternity and gets on with what it's always been doing. Anyway, more about that in future videos, because that is just a load of stuff to lay on you for today. Let's do ourselves a 5-card tarot reading, okay, guys? I know you guys seem to enjoy this, and you can pick a card, or as always, you can pick all 5. That's how I roll. And when you're picking a card, or even when you're deciding whether to pick a card or pick all 5 or not to bother today, you are actually being your own psychic. Yeah, your spirit guides know what the 5 cards are before I pull them out. I don't even know what they are yet, but they all know, and so do my guides. Actually, and in a second, when I'm done shuffling, I'm going to pick 5 cards out. And I'll ask you to just look at the 5 cards and see which one you're drawn to. Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, got 5 cards here, and in the order I pulled them out, I'm going from left to right, but this camera flips and I don't understand it terribly well. So this is card number 1. Okay, this is card number 2, this is card number 3, this is number 4, and this at the back here is number 5. So which cards are those? Of those are you actually drawn to, friends? Take a second to think about it before you know what the cards are. It's the nature of this deck that we already know that these two, where is it? That one and that one are actually upside down, because we can see the rabbit at the top. Alice is at the top when they're the right way up. So we already know that. But apart from that, which ones are you drawn to, guys? Okay, it can be like you can pick 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, all 5, or just 1. It's entirely up to you. So we'll turn over card number 1. What's it to be? It is to be the Tower of Destruction, and this is a big symbol of our world and all the craziness of our world and what it's actually like to live in it in a big way. Now, the Tower of Destruction in most tarot decks, as I'm sure most of you know, is like a big castle or a big tower or something that's been torn apart, a building that's been torn apart with flames, and maybe it looks like a bombing, and it really does stand for that in so many ways, but it's always a learning experience, you know. It's not like the death card where it's totally the end of a situation and a new situation is coming in. It's the Tower of Destruction. It rips you apart right down to your foundations, but it doesn't tear you apart completely. It leaves you with some rebuilding to do, and that actually is what allows you to put your life together in a way that suits you better than the way it was before. So in that sense, it's very, very positive. In this particular card, and this is from the Wonderland Tarot, or Tarot in Wonderland, it's explained really differently. I've never actually seen any other deck that has a card anything like this for the Tower of Destruction. But basically, Alice here has whipped the tablecloth off, trying to leave all the candles and the plates and stuff on top of the table, and as many children have tried to do over the decades since that trick was first done. And they've realized it isn't actually possible, and it knackers everything, you know. So she sent everything flying, and fireworks are going off and everything. And we've also got this lady who is the Queen of Swords. elsewhere in this deck. So a very serious character. And Alice has ripped the tablecloth off, and the Queen of Swords is a very serious lady, isn't at all happy about this, but somehow it's going to be all right, because there she is, still standing there. I'm still not used to this left-right flip business, but there she is, standing there, and she's okay, you know. And as the strong adult, as the responsible adult, she is actually going to make sure that the situation doesn't get too bad, and that Alice's mistake is going to be fixed up. It's going to be healed, you know. And that's the big message of the Tower of Destruction that we so often lose sight of. These situations come up and these things happen because they can be healed, and it's in healing them, it's in putting things to rights, getting things back to, but like what we're talking about at the moment with the pandemic, getting things back to a new normal. And this is because the old normal wasn't working in one way or another. And I don't mean to make light of the virus, by the way. That's a completely different thing, really. But whenever something happens, it causes a bit of a reset. And we're talking about the Great Reset in all sorts of ways at the moment, and money having a different meaning, and people living their lives in different new ways. And I'm not saying for 1 minute that the big virus has gone around the world just to make that happen. Not at all. But it's the nature of life that these things happen from time to time, and it does absolutely reset everything. So the Tower of Destruction isn't really here to destroy anything. It's here as what you might call a harbinger of change. That's a big word, isn't it? It's all about change is coming in. So card number 2. Did you pick card number 2, friends? This is the question. This is a Pentacles card, so it's Earth sign energy. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn are loosely, at least, linked to this card. It's the meaning that's the main thing at this point. This is what we're looking at. And the 9 of Pentacles is pretty good. This looks like abundance is here, and it's going to keep on coming in. This is a very good situation, and if you pick this and you're not in a very good situation, then, friends, a better situation, a much better situation is coming towards you right now. Things are going to be okay long term as well. You know, there's no messing about with this card. But what we have down at the bottom here, we've still got this chessboard kind of pathway. And whenever we get this in this deck, particularly cards and chessboard patterns are always showing that there's still a game on. So even though we've got great abundance here and things are looking so good, we aren't out of the woods yet. And how can I say that when I'm saying everything's good and abundance is here? Well, simply because it's not quite as good as it could be. And the only reason for that is either a thing that Alice has forgotten in her journey, or a person, or maybe even a group of people who Alice has forgotten. Or maybe she hasn't forgotten them. Maybe she had to cut the cord and move on. Now, when we cut the cord, we do that in the knowledge that if we cut the wrong cord, and it's something we actually still need, that cord will grow back and life will still include that situation or those people if it's good for us. But having cut the cord, it rebuilds, like we saw in the Tower of Destruction. Things come together again in a new way. And now Alice has made this journey. She might have had to cut the cords to actually get to where she is now, but now she's made this journey. Now she is where she is. It's time to actually look back and think, wouldn't it be good to bring that person along, maybe an old lover that you'd like to see again, something like that? Wouldn't it be good to incorporate something from the past that somehow has been lost here? And she can incorporate it if she wants to, because she's in a very, very strong position. This is the 9 of Pentacles. This is pretty much as good as it gets. I mean, of course it's not, because there's still the 10 of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles. So it does keep on going up. But believe me, friends, once you have hit that sweet spot of the 9 of Pentacles, it's going to be pretty good. It really is. So what then is card number 3? And we know this one was upside down. Wow, it's the 2 of Wands that's upside down. Now there's a thing. It's fire sign energy here. Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries are the star signs that are associated with the suit of wands, and the wands is all about action. It's about making things happen, and they all relate to each other. You know, if you think of the swords, where there are decisions, you have to make a decision to make things happen. If you think of the abundance of the pentacles, you have to get things done to bring that abundance into your life. And if you think of the cups, longings and desires, it's a longing, it's a desire to get something done, to get things decided, to actually bring the abundance towards you. It's something you have to kind of decide that you're actually going to link into. Now, normally this card, when it's the right way up, means that there's nothing you can do to, learn any more. The situation is actually happening, and you're going to have to just keep going, whatever happens. It's a lot like the blind decision that comes up in the Two of Swords. It's different to that because it's the wands, but it's actually doing things. It's actually making things happen and understanding that although the game isn't over, and we can see the checkered pattern in the background there, so the game definitely isn't over. Progress is happening whether you like it or not, basically. So why have we got it upside down then? Well, it's, a reversed card isn't always the exact reverse of the meaning. It's kind of what you read into it at the time. And I'm seeing flowers up at the top here, which are rather nice. Obviously they're growing out of the ground, but they're kind of more up in the air when we see the card inverted like that. And what we're actually seeing here, if we really focus in, the flowers are at the top, the pinky higher heart chakra colors are at the bottom, or sort of in the middle, and above them we've got the greens of the lower heart chakra. So it's kind of flipped the heart energy around a bit, and this is the heart of the matter, really, because it is card number 3. And what this is telling us really is that things are a bit topsy-turvy. Things are not really in the right order, and that, that's not a problem, because we're always on a journey. We can always sort things out, and things right this minute are exactly as they're meant to be. If things aren't right at the minute, that's because they're meant to heal. That's because they're meant to actually get better. But it's worth looking at your priorities at this point, because the Two of Wands energy still carries over with this card, even when it's inverted. The game is on, things are happening, and you might as well go with the flow. But are you going to have to kind of turn things over? At least you're going to have to turn things over in your mind to make things happen. Card number 3, Two of Wands inverted. We know that the next card, card number 4, is also inverted, because that's the way they came up. Here's the back of it. What's the front of it? It's another 2. It's the Two of Pentacles. So we're back with that earth sign energy there, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. It's upside down. And when it's the right way up, there's a juggling act here, a balancing kind of act going on. And if we look closely at it, we can see that the Mad Hatter, who is the character in this card, is juggling wildly, and he's completely let them go out of his hands, but he's still got his hands in the right positions to catch them. There isn't going to be a disaster here. It just looks as if there is. So if we turn it over without dropping it on the floor, as I've just done, so if we turn it over, because this is what we actually got. We got the Two of Pentacles inverted. What is going on here? Well, it's pretty much the same energy, ships in the background, bringing things in, a bit like in the Three of Wands. The work has already been done, so no matter how much juggling goes on, the outcome is the outcome. Well, the outcome is a lot less certain when we turn it over, and he's actually not going to be able to catch these, where is it? There, he's not actually going to be able to catch these two things, which are like stopwatches, I suppose, clocks, watches with the pentacle symbol on. He's not actually going to be able to catch them because they're falling in a different direction. But nevertheless, we have got ships coming in. So guys, what this card is really saying is that everything might not be what it seems. It might seem like you're fighting a losing battle, but the reward out there is actually a just reward. Your ships are coming in just the same as they ever were. And we could see this in terms of karma. as well, because karma is a self-adjusting kind of a thing. If you've got karma coming towards you that you deserve, and then you put things right and the karma's still coming towards you, that karma will then arrive in a much different way, completely suited to the fact that you've now got things right or made amends or whatever it is. Very simplistic view of karma. Karma isn't just getting a slap when you've done something wrong. Karma is the science of your relationship with God. It really is. There's some lofty words for you. But Two of Pentacles there, even though it's upside down, you know, things are going to come in just the way they should. It's just a question of actually being able to allow yourself to believe that things can be good like that. And when everything's turned over on its head, it's very difficult to believe that things can be good. But you've got to kind of try and stay strong in your faith, in your belief that the right thing's going to happen. And if you're in any doubt, just look at what you've been putting into whatever situation this reading is actually about in terms of what it means for you. Think of what you've put in. How could it go wrong, really? Well, things can go wrong in lots of ways, but whatever's going on, however crazy it's going to get, the right things are still coming towards you, says the inverted Two of Pentacles in this reading. And the last card in this reading is this one. It's the Emperor. It is number 4 in the Major Arcana, and it has everything to do with resources, you know. Number 3 is the High Priestess, and she knows that no, sorry, number 3 is the Empress. How silly of me. Number 3 is the Empress, and she is very good at manifesting things out of nature. The Emperor is more about not hoarding those things up, but actually making sure there's enough to go around in thinner times. So if you actually picked number 5, or if you picked all 5, this is the outcome card. Think carefully about, you know, what have you actually got going for you now? Whatever you do, don't hoard it up, friends. It's important, because if you hoard energy up, you sort of stop the flow of energy, and you stop the flow of abundance that way until you've kind of spent whatever abundance has already come in. This is about keeping just enough, just a sensible amount for whatever contingencies might arise. And if I give an example how I've got this wrong in my own personal life, right at the beginning of the virus going around the world, which I'm trying not to mention just in case my channel ever gets monetized, which would be nice. And thank you everyone who's subscribed, by the way. It's all a big help towards that halcyon moment, and thank you for watching. But yeah, right back at the beginning of the virus going around the world, I went out and I stocked up on stuff in tin cans, food in tin cans, things that keep for a while, like flour. I actually bought some wheat grains, and I was a bit of a prepper, you know, and I built up this huge prep store full of stuff. And now, a year later, the worst hasn't actually happened yet, and I know the worst has happened in a lot of people's lives, and I'm so sorry for that. I pray for those people here and all the time as well. But I have ended up with, I stored up a lot of abundance, which I ended up not needing. I kept it and kept it and kept it. And now I'm having some very strange meals to use it up, and some of it's already gone. It's just got to be thrown away. Nothing I can do about it. And that's because I didn't get the balance right, you know. I didn't save up just what I thought I might need. I went completely nuts and saved up far too much. And so I took the abundance and I kind of abused the abundance, if you like, you know. Maybe I could have given charitably, maybe I could have done something else with all that energy and with the money I spent on it. I didn't. I hoarded it up, and nothing great is going to come along really until I clear that hoard out, because now it's just taking up space, and I will be clearing it out pretty soon, because that's just about it for this video. But I hope you enjoyed those cards today, friends. Hope you enjoyed the video. More on spirit guides coming up, and live on this very channel. And that is going to be 9 p.m. UK time on Wednesday. Now, we have actually not gone on to daylight saving time yet. That happens later in the month. So that means that instead of 5 hours behind and 8 hours behind, the USA is now 4 hours behind and 7 hours behind. So 9 p.m., that's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. No, it's not. That's going to be 2 p.m. Pacific time. That's what I'm saying. And 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hope you guys can work that out for your time zone wherever you are in the world. That's when I'm live. please do come along on the live videos. Actually, they're great fun. We always have lovely energy, and there are lots of people in the chat who are pretty good spiritual practitioners in their own right, and they might very well answer your questions as much as I might. But I will be pulling cards for people. That's what I do. On, you know, you can ask for a card, and I'll pull a card out, and we'll see what we can find out for you. Maybe use the pendulum a bit, and more than anything, we'll have a good time, because that always seems to happen on the lives, and I'm delighted it's gone that way. So live tomorrow, if you're watching this video the day it comes out, this is actually Wednesday tomorrow, and there is going to be a live every Wednesday and every Sunday going on into the future. Got future collaborations planned with Celtic Tarot Sheila again. Looking forward to that one. And I'm just talking to Bathrobe Tarot's amazing Danny Shays, amazing reader, about maybe a collaboration with Danny in the fairly near future. So it's all fun, it's all growing, and I want to thank you guys so much for all the support you've given me. We have got a cat just disappearing behind me there. You want to come and say hello? Come on, it's nearly the end of the video. No, she's not at the moment, she's not. But look, there's the other cat. Two cats together. Yeah, you can just about see them in the background there. Where would I be without my cats, eh? So guys, thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for absolutely everything. If you would like a private reading, hit me up at 35AND83 at gmail.com. I just kind of got lost in this thing I'm scrolling up and down looking at here at the moment. And if you'd like to buy me or buy the channel a coffee, check this out. It's coffee.com/Andy's Readings, ko-fi.com/Andy's Readings, which is scrolling along courtesy of StreamYard at the bottom, even though I'm not streaming. Great software, this. Leave me a comment, guys. We'll share the journey. Thanks so much to everyone who leaves comments. It's great to read them. And thanks to everyone who's subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. It is down there. That's what it's there for. And you'll get notified when I'm going to be doing a live video or whenever I post a video. You know, that's the way that particular cookie crumbles. Thumbs up, please, if you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you again in a future video. Thanks for watching. Love, light, blessings, and peace. And now, can I switch it off? Hopefully. Let's try. There we go.